Hi, everyone. It's Alexis Hasselberger here, time management and productivity coach. Productivity has inertia, just like objects. Sometimes we can be stuck in a rut, and it can be really hard to get out of that rut. We are just sitting there on the couch. We cannot get started. Sometimes we're on a roll. We got up early, we started doing stuff, and we just keep going. It feels like we're totally unstoppable. Now, if we're unstoppable, great, let's keep rolling, right? But if we're not, right, if we're stuck in that productivity inertia at rest phase, sometimes it can be really hard to get ourselves out of that. And a lot of times I have clients coming to me and asking me, how do I just get started with something? And so I want to give you a few actionable tips for when you are feeling like you're in a rut, you can't get started, you can't get moving, and it just feels hard. So the first one is to make it as easy as possible for yourself, right? Whatever the thing is that you need to do, break it down into the smallest possible first step. What's the first next action that you can take? So you want to break it down so small it feels kind of silly, right? Sometimes this can be, maybe you have a deck that you have to do for a big presentation next week. Maybe the first step is just literally opening the file and saving it with a name, right? Or maybe you don't even have a name. And so you're just saving it with like slide deck TBD name or something like that. But just make it super simple, so easy that you can't not do it. You just want to apply enough force to get out of that rut, to get out of that at rest inertia and get into the rolling mode. Now, another thing that you can do, and people always look at me like I'm crazy when I say this, because it is a little crazy, but I swear to you it works, is if you need to get started on something, think back to when you were a kid and say to yourself, maybe in your head or maybe out loud, three, two, one, blast off, and then just do it, whatever it is. That sounds totally silly, I know, but you know what is even more silly? If you say that and then you do absolutely nothing, right? So just think like you're a kid. We're expecting something to happen when we hear blast off. And so if something's not happening, you better make it happen, right? Another thing that we can try is to just make a plan. When we plan in advance, I'm always talking about separating the planning from the doing. When we plan in advance, we are really setting ourselves up to know exactly what that first step is. When we plan in advance, when we separate the planning from the doing, we don't ask ourselves, what do I want to do now? What I feel like doing? We just execute when the time comes, right? So make a plan in advance and prioritize your future self. When your future self gets there, they see that plan, then you will just go ahead and do what's on the plan. And then lastly, a technique that you can try is the Pomodoro technique. So some of you may know the Pomodoro technique as something that's a sort of timer-based technique for productivity, where you set a timer for 25 minutes and then you work for 25 minutes and then you take a 5-minute break and yada, yada, yada. In this case, we're just going to apply the timer. So set a timer for any amount of time, 5 minutes even. And just as soon as the timer starts, you're going to start whatever it is you're doing. When the timer goes off, you're telling yourself, like, I can stop when the timer goes off. Now, what will probably happen is that you'll already be in the flow of it. You will have kickstarted that rolling inertia, really that movement inertia, by the time that that timer goes off, and so you will just keep doing it. But even if you don't, even if you stop, then you've still gotten started. You've still gotten yourself over that hump. So if you're having trouble getting started, and I know it can be hard these days, there's so much going on. If you're having trouble getting started, then try one of these techniques and tell me if it worked for you.